As we are getting ready to come back, I'm going to take a few minutes to share a couple things. We are getting some Instagram shout outs. I wanted to thank Brooks Rehab for their awesome picture from their watch party. Thank you guys. I want to see what your snacks are. I want to hear a little bit more about what's going on at Brooks. We will be posting those pictures on our Instagram and giving those shout outs also on our Facebook page. So make sure you get over there. Um, just before the break, we were talking for a few minutes. And before the next group gets started, if you can keep your mic and your camera off, and Cheryl will introduce you all. But I just wanted to remind you that we were talking a little bit about how you can support the work of the National Aphasia Association. We are a nonprofit organization that provides support for people with aphasia and their loved ones. We promote public awareness and understanding of aphasia, and we also foster research that aims to improve the lives of people with aphasia. As a matter of fact, get on your calendar that next Thursday, October 9th, we will have a very special Ask the Expert. You can find that information in your newsletter. If you're not signed up for your newsletter, then you may not be on this call, but please sign up for our newsletter, because every Sunday information goes out about what's coming up on the next week. But on our calendar, you'll see that on events on Thursday, October 9th, we will be hosting our monthly Ask the Expert. But this one is super special because it's about aphasia research. And at that time, we will be discussing the research that has been funded by the National Aphasia Association to date, our new research kind of hub information that we'll be sharing, and also we'll be announcing the recipients of the 25-26 Barbara Martin Aphasia Research Award and the Outdrive Aphasia Award, which is very exciting. That's $30,000 worth of support. So we'll make sure that you are privy to that information as well. If you would like to donate to the National Aphasia Association, we truly appreciate it. Scan that code or go to our website where it says donate. You can donate in honor of somebody with aphasia, and we will let them know of your generosity. So I'm going to welcome Cheryl back into the room as we get ready for the later afternoon aspects of our programming. And I will let you introduce this and kind of what we've got going on this afternoon, because it's an exciting afternoon.
Yes, it is. We are gearing up right now for resources, a part of one of our themes. We're doing resources today and tomorrow, and the moderator is Dr. Tami Brancamp. Today, they're going to talk about respite and getting what you need. The panelists today will be Anna Teal, Frank Teal, Michelle Humphrey, Melissa Richman, and Tanya Jones, followed by questions and answers. We have a little short musical interlude with a music therapist. And later this afternoon, our final set of will be from the Toastmasters, Toastmasters and storytellers from Boston with aphasia. So we have a pretty exciting and kind of a great variety this afternoon coming up. So you can start right now. If Tami, I think we got about a minute. If Tami is ready, there she is. And I'll let you take it away, Tami.
Welcome, everyone. If you're on the panel, go ahead and put your camera on and unmute. There we go. Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. The purpose of this particular resource, is to really talk about what are some resources that we can do to get more of what people with aphasia and their partners are needing. So when I was tasked with this, I was like, oh my gosh, well, I know a lot about speech therapy, right? But we know there's so much more to living with aphasia than speech therapy. So we brought together Anna and Ryan Teal, who are a couple who are going to talk about some resources that they found that they needed to create. We're going to talk with Michelle Humphrey, which is an individual who has aphasia and is a mom. We're going to speak with Melissa Richmond and where's my Tanya Jones? There she's right in there. So Melissa is a speech language pathologist and Tanya is a person living with aphasia. So first of all, I thought what we would do is we'll start with Anna and Ryan, and then we'll go to Michelle, and then Melissa and Tanya. So if Anna and Ryan, if you guys are ready, let's go ahead.
Yeah, so just want to clarify, it's Ryan, not Frank. I know it's a big mistake. Ryan had a stroke back in 2018, a massive ischemic stroke, and that left him with aphasia. And throughout that process, we had a crazy journey where we realized there's a lot of gaps in resources where I'm sure a lot of people have seen this, where there's either outdated resources or perhaps the resources that they're provided are not necessarily adult relevant. So this has been one of our kind of pet peeves as we've kind of gone through the process and as Ryan has been recovering. And throughout that process, we found resources on the NAA website. So thank you guys for that. The website's beautiful and great and very searchable and very user-friendly. So happy to hear that that website is updated and going well. And then we've also created our own resources through Aphasia Readers. So that's reading books and tools to read out loud to improve your speech. So, and those can be found on our website, aphasiareaders.com. We also have a lot of free resources that are available there that are our fridge functional phrases. I know that's a mouthful, but that was created from my perspective as a caregiver because I didn't want Ryan to feel lonely in social situations. I could see like at birthday parties or, weddings, different social events, he would kind of sit to himself or not really interact with people. And I just had really wished there was a really short, printable resource that Ryan could practice prior to an event to help him feel confident and feel like interacting with people and feel good about that, So those have been a really big hit on our website, and we get people all the time emailing us with new ideas or new things. They want to see a new printable, and we'll work one up for them. So yeah, that's been great to provide. And then we have also partnered with the University of Michigan. Ryan did their UMAP program a couple of years ago, and the speech and language pathologists, they are great and they're wonderful. Ryan improved greatly after his month there during his intensive therapy, but we have a lot of their resources on our website as well that link to them. And then, we found a lot of great resources at local universities. We're based in Georgia. So Ryan does speech therapy at the University of West Georgia. We've been involved at Georgia State University. They have a great speech and language program there, and they support people with aphasia in various ways. So we've really been hungry for resources during this time. We've sought them out. So there's just a lot out there, and thank goodness for us living in a digital day and age, so we can have access to this and really find community. And I think groups, Ryan is involved in a lot of different support groups, which I consider a fantastic resource because it gives people a very safe space to practice and to communicate and, practice with like-minded, people. So, yeah, you've loved that. So, and those can be found, I know, on the NAA website. We have some on our website. But if you would ever need a complete list, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to help you find something in your area. But yeah, it's a fabulous option.
So if I could recap a little bit, I heard quite a few resources that you like to share. So one of them was you're creating are they scripts that go on the fridge? or vocabulary about an event coming up?
Yeah, so they're actually questions you may ask someone,
Hmm.
and they're not really necessarily written in a dialogue, but it's thinking of what are some of the questions you may ask someone if you're in a specific situation, just to initiate that conversation. So they're more so like conversation starters. Some of them we do have are kind of inspirational, like affirmations that you can
Mhm.
practice telling yourself, like, I am strong, I'm worthy, I'm smart, I'm all these like amazing things to just help get your mind in a good place because as we all know, aphasia can be very lonely and just, it's a long road to recovery a lot of
Yeah.
the times. And so you need to tell yourself some encouraging words. And so that's one of the reasons we created that specific one.
I was thinking too, you shared trying to partner with universities if they're within your community, um, joining aphasia conversation groups or aphasia centers, if you can find them locally or virtually. There was something else. We talked a little bit about creating aphasia readers, because I would say, even as a practicing speech pathologist, finding good materials for adults is really a challenge.
Yeah.
Without writing your own. And I guess you guys decided to write your own, to get them out
Yeah.
there for people to, just as an option, right? Um,
Yeah.
were there other resources, like, so if a person, wasn't, maybe they're not able to get your resources and reading, where else could we find good resources that are not juvenile for folks? It's not fair to be having to read, Dick and Jane
Yeah. Children's
out
books.
there.
That's kind of a real bummer.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, one of the things that I would encourage people to is just because you can't find anything out there that's adult relevant. I mean, there are some tools like on Amazon, some workbooks and things that you can find that can help with improving your speech that are very good. But also just don't be afraid to create your own. I mean, like Tami was saying, we created aphasia readers. We knew nothing about publishing. We knew nothing about how to get illustrations made. We knew nothing about anything, but God blessed us and put the right people in our path to where we could create these things and bring these to the aphasia community. And it means a lot. I mean, we initially were not going to do this. We wanted the University of
right.
Michigan to do it, but they were like, well, we got our hands full and we don't really have the bandwidth to do it. So we were like, we feel really strongly that people need this. And
Yeah.
so we found a way to do it.
So I was reminded by Jackie Hinckley in the chat, looking for materials for adult English learners. So English as a second language or third. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are where I've had to go often, and modify. We're always looking for, like, where is my person with aphasia? What's their reading level at? And we're going to start where they're at, right? As we grow the program. But English as a second language, those are really good ideas as well. So let's hold on. I'm going to have, before I do that, Ryan, did you want to say something? You don't have to, but
Speech, but book, slow,
yeah.
Good.
good.
Yeah.
One of the resources, like, what's meaningful to each individual. So being able to read must have been a very meaningful activity and super important for you guys to put in the effort to try to create additional resources, right?
Yeah, reading and trying to put together those sentences
Yeah.
from Ryan and then some of our other friends who have aphasia, having that sentence flow and practicing that is, it gets better with practice. You have to just practice, practice, practice. And that was one of the reasons why we felt aphasia readers was a good thing because it gives you kind of a supplementary tool. It doesn't replace your SLP. It's just an additional practice tool that you can do outside of your therapy sessions to help
Yeah.
read out loud and work on that sentence like flow and get it kind of going.
Yeah, this panel is really about those additional resources. I am biased. I'm a speech pathologist by training, but I also work in an aphasia center and create programs. There's therapy and there's the rest of the life outside of therapy. And we know that aphasia is chronic and people are going to continue to improve, but we always need new ways of thinking about an idea, or maybe we're a little stuck. So, what might be some other resources? And then, how do you navigate finding them or creating them? Always consider going back to the NAA website because they have redone their resources, and there are a ton of resources on there. I was really impressed. Also, as you're watching this webinar, please remember to put your questions in the chat, and the moderators will be responding to them, and we'll also bring some of them forward at the last 15 minutes for the Q&A. All right, so Anna and Ryan, hang on a second. Michelle, are you ready to share a bit of your story?
I sure am. My name is Michelle Humphrey, and I had a stroke in 2013, and I was in the hospital at Shirley Bryan Ability Lab for 6 months. So the kind of stroke I had was a pond stroke, and it was bilateral, which means I was doubly lucky. And so I'm kind of a strokey dinosaur in the sense that I've been around so long. I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it means I'm old. So when I had this stroke, I was 43, and it was actually my son's second birthday, and at the same time, I was pregnant with another child. So that's my story in a nutshell.
What is it you like when you and I chatted when we were talking about this panel? You brought forward a lot of resources that you found that being a mom and a stroke survivor with aphasia and also navigating all these years since have been very helpful for you. Can you share some of those with us?
Sure. I'd have to say, first of all, there wasn't a lot available at the time, so I had to make a lot of my own. But if I could say what I would do now, if I was a parent, for sure I would go to the NAA Parenting with Aphasia. They have a group that meets once a month on Wednesdays, and it's fantastic. But, so like, here's an example of something I made. It's called a Happy Kit, and it was just this dumb thing I put in my purse filled with things that would make me smile no matter what bad thing was going on. So I'll show you this as an example. Like, no matter what is happening, this picture will make me smile. This is my niece. She doesn't know I'm going to show this, so I didn't ask permission. So just things like that. Or like little notes that my son wrote me. Things like that that are like guaranteed to make me smile. Because I ran into a lot of situations where people don't know what's going on and I'm kind of stuck and they get frustrated with me and I don't have time to explain, well, I have aphasia, so I don't really process well, so give me some time. And so instead of getting upset, I would just look at this instead and try and get in a better mood from that. And this also falls into, this wasn't around when I was brand new, but this is what I would recommend now, especially for parents. This came out in 2020 by Dr. Broussard, and the reason it's good for parents is there's a lot of pictures, so it was easier for my son to understand. Like, instead of using big medical words, the pictures worked really well to explain it to him. And this is where I entered my aphasia joke with my son. So this is why, or this shows how it's hard to explain to a kid. So he was in second grade and he was giving a speech and he forgot where he was and he like went blank, like aphasia. And so he stopped and he said, "I'm sorry, I have aphasia." And like the teacher was just stunned, like, what? So that's my big joke. I think gets it better now, but he's 14 now, so it took some time.
You have some more on your show and tell? Because you shared a lot of lovely resources.
This is a book I started and this I bring to the Parenting with Aphasia group to show the newer people that I started it because I got sick of hearing from the newer people how doctors would tell them they couldn't improve after a year. And so this book, I started recording all the different improvements I made 5 years, 10 years, and I show it to them kind of as, well, yes, as long as you keep doing what you're doing, you will improve. It won't happen as fast, but it does happen.
Mhm.
Now, this is where my aphasia kicks in. I forgot what else I'll show you.
You were doing something with picture books too. Do you have that with you?
Yes.
Okay.
So, this is a book, again, I made myself that was like a motivation book. And like, if I would again get in a frustrated mood, it was just filled with like positive quotes and
Higher, little higher. There,
things,
there we go.
things, things that would put me back on track. And on this page, I wrote, "This is the best stroke advice I got." And it was from my friend from kindergarten. And it's just like a triangle that shows me and my husband and kid on top. And that's all I have to focus on. Like in the beginning, I mean, I was sleeping 21 hours a day in the beginning. So, like, I didn't have a lot of time for stuff that other people expect of you. And so he said, you know what, just go back to the beginning. It's just you and John and Walter, and everything falls down with their energy. So
Mhm.
just things like that. And
Michelle,
then,
oh, you shared that you weren't a graphic designer and you still are
yeah,
before, right? So you were able to make some happy kits or some tools that were visual and supported you when you're maybe feeling low or made you laugh. You sent me a picture recently of some pencils. Do you have those? I want to go get some of these just for fun.
okay.
Okay.
This actually applies for grief too. Um, and ironically, stroke recovery follows the 7 steps of grief, 7 stages of grief. But anyway, when I send a sympathy card, I send one of these, and what it is it's a one of those pencils that writes in like 4 colors.
Yeah, rainbow colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the theory is that you can't write with this for 5 minutes without cracking a smile.
Yeah.
And it's true, try it. This is not my idea. This is something I got from a YouTube artist I follow called Just Carp. That's
Yeah.
not my
Everybody
idea,
needs some
but it works.
yeah, everybody needs some rainbow pencils in our lives, don't we? Yeah. So is there something, any other tools or suggestions you have for people with aphasia? What are those resources that help no matter, what might be the cause?
Well, going back to the Dick and Jane book, I get your point. However, I'm going to put in a plug for parents here. That is the best way to work with your kid and explain your aphasia. I mean, I read children's books to Walter left and right because he doesn't care how I read.
Yeah.
So it's actually, you have a benefit in being a parent. You have a lot of obstacles, but there's some benefits too, in that we had a ton of picture books and like easy to read books. That helped a lot.
Yeah, I thank you for that different perspective. I didn't think about that initially. I can say that working with a variety of people with aphasia, there are some folks who were highly offended by juvenile books and some who were like, not a problem, bring it on. So it's really truly honoring where that person is and the resources that we're going to utilize. I think the biggest thing is to ask, right? To ask
Yes.
and try. All right. Is there something else you want to add, Michelle, at this time?
The only thing I would say is resources to like be creative and use what you have that you don't know you have. Like, for example, I would email back and forth with someone from church to practice my comprehension and like speaking ability. Like, am I making sense? And like she would know that the topics were not meaning anything, it was just practice. And so find someone in your life that can help you in that way, I guess would be my other advice.
Yeah, I think that some of our earlier sessions where some of that is to ask, to not be afraid to ask.
I think that's a big step.
Yeah. Ask, create, explore. All right. Well, hang on for a couple minutes, Michelle. And if you're ready, we're going to have Melissa and Tanya join us and to talk about podcast.
Michelle, I am 100% getting some of those pencils.
I love that. Yeah.
I already love stationery supplies, and so I'm definitely getting those pencils. My name is Melissa, and I am a speech therapist, and I work with the Stroke Comeback Center. I do all of my work now virtually. And I'm going to be the shortest piece of this, and I'm going to turn it over to Tanya, who is going to tell you all the good stuff. The resource I'm going to tell you about today is a podcast, and it is called The Slow Road to Better. And you can find this podcast pretty much anywhere you like to get your podcasts. So on iTunes, or if you use Alexa, she can find it for you. But this podcast started 9 years ago in 2016, and it started with a group of survivors with aphasia who, in their words, wanted to build a bridge of hope. And they wanted to be able to connect with other survivors of stroke or brain trauma and help connect people who might not have an aphasia center or a university, or their insurance ran out and they didn't have a way to connect to resources and peers. So this is a group that we produce a podcast. And when I say produce, I use that pretty loosely because I'm a speech therapist. I am not a podcaster, but we get it done. And it is a conversation among survivors. So right now we have about 160 episodes, and some of them are very serious. We have a lot of moms. We have some new moms that had their strokes right after giving birth, who tell their stories. We have stories about loss and relationships and anger and seizures. We have special guests who come and give us professional information from researchers and therapists. And we have a lot of funny conversations. This is a group of survivors who are busy on the slow road to better. And they talk about life. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tanya, who is part of the podcast and a much more important piece than I am. Tanya, take it away.
Yes, I'm Tanya, and I had a stroke 7 years ago, and I joined the podcast before the pandemic. And before my stroke, I was a communicator for public relation and a reporter. So I joined the podcast because it's called it's you can listen to all over the world. I like that. And and I like the podcast where nothing is prepared. We don't have a special guest or you don't have a topic, but it's always funny and interesting and it's I like the people. So I like the people and but my favorite episodes are dating. That's what really funny. Yeah. And we talk one podcast we did about therapy dogs, and it was really funny. And I can't remember what what episodes. Maybe Melissa can help me, but it's you can listen to it anytime and all over the world. I like that.
I think in terms of resources, I think for survivors, it is pure connection. And I think one of the things that I hear from the survivors is it's other people who go, exactly, you understand, you get it. And so it's other people, it's not us therapists who can be empathetic, but it's someone who's in those shoes.
Yeah.
And I think that's helpful. I also find that it's a safe place to have hard conversations. So I think for survivors who are not on the podcast, sometimes there's really hard topics they want to bring up and don't have a way to do it. And so this podcast is a way to say, hey, could you listen to this? And then maybe we could talk about it. And it might not be that everybody agrees, but it's a way to transition into a hard topic. And I think it helps survivors also realize it's okay to have those feelings. We talk a lot about grief, Michelle, and the survivors have taught me it's seems to be a little cyclical or right? Like you think you've got something nailed down and then something comes back and you feel like you got kicked in the teeth all over again. You're like, I thought I dealt with this. So we have those conversations, and then some days we're talking about like armpit hair, you know?
Yeah.
It just so it's funny. It's a great way to practice auditory comprehension.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The podcast is only audio, right? It's not video.
It is not video.
Yeah.
It is not.
Yeah.
And I think there is a way that it's transcribed. I don't do it, so you know that means who knows what it says, right? Because you know how good that audio, sometimes speech to text can be. But I'm not exactly sure how to get it. So if someone can tell me, but in theory, you might be able to find it, the transcription, so you could listen and read it at the same time, which often helps.
I think that like there's a tool Otter, OTTER.ai, that you could put that audio podcast in there and transcribe for free. I use one, sometimes it's called, I think, Temi, Temi, but it does charge like, it used to be 10 cents a minute, now it's 25 cents. So Otter is free. And I wonder, there's got to be tools on our smartphones that can do that now for us. I can't tell you what they are, but the way technology is evolving. So if someone wants a written transcript to go with auditory comprehension, that would be great. Is there a reason it's not video at this time?
Well, we do it several locations, so yeah.
Okay.
We do it initially, we all literally sat around a soundboard with me trying to figure out what I was doing with headphones. If you listen to that early quality, it's not ideal. Zoom has made it much better,
Right.
actually. Our recording is much better.
Yes, I live in Maryland. Some people live in Virginia, and yeah, so it yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
mostly because I think people feel safer talking without their faces
Yeah.
there. And not, I will be honest, not all conversations we have get turned into podcasts.
Right.
We've sometimes people get to the end of that hour and they're like, you can't put that out there for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But mostly they're really honest conversations among friends.
Right.
So I think we forget that it's being recorded, which is what makes it so honest.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. Yeah.
But I like it how you share too. It might be a good catalyst for having those difficult conversations with somebody in our household or anybody who we want to bring up the tough stuff. I think so. I do facilitate a conversation group, and it's not always easy to bring a group of diverse people together to talk about one specific difficult topic. And that might not be something I'm comfortable facilitating. So I like that you have another option or multiple options. I know that there are podcasts and other resources on the NAA website to talk about some difficult subjects. But, another avenue is listening to podcasts. Podcasts are very popular today. I know I listen to them every single workday morning on all kinds of topics. So it's really cool that you guys have this. So as we still have more time in our discussion. So I'd like to open it up to all of the panelists, like through the things we've talked about so far, have other resources come to mind that you'd like to do a shout out for that people listening might be interested in knowing about?
I'm going to turn this off so you can see. I put this in the chat box.
Oh,
but
yeah.
this is the Beamer book. This is a great resource. All the funds go to charity, but this is a great, it's a kid's book.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great way to teach about stroke to little ones.
Yeah. Anna, were you saying something? Because you are muted if you wanted to say, or Ryan.
I was asking Ryan if he had any other thoughts. Do you have any other resources you want to share? We did post in the chat about he uses Libby a lot, the Libby app that you can hook into your library, your local library. And
Yeah,
you can
I
get
do
books.
that. Yeah, I do that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really great resource where you can get books for free and, practice your reading that way.
I do it audio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so does Ryan. He likes to
Yeah.
read and listen.
Right.
Yeah. Usually the most powerful, we combined all the modalities.
Yep.
Trish shared Brain Friends podcast. That's another one. And also remember, go back to the resource page to get lists of podcasts, lists of books. I think Maura, somebody put the link to get those rainbow pencils, which we must all have.
Yes, I'm going to have to add that. I'm going to jump in and say, if you find a resource or have a resource that is not in that section, remember we just redid the website in June, and there has been some additional books. There's new podcasts. We actually added a section on YouTube channels that are related, and we've also included a link tree now in our Instagram and Facebook so that people can find other sources and other resources. So if you notice, I was looking for this book, and it wasn't on your site, just email me or email the person and say, put in your request to put it up there, because we have made it so easy to search for now, but we need people there so that we can find out what else needs to be. And Trish, thank you for bringing up Brain Friends, which is, I think, Angie told me recently, 99 countries now it's being heard in. So there's a lot of great podcasts, books, apps. There's some discussion about AI. And then also remember that on our YouTube channel, we have something called a playlist for Ask the Expert. So many of these topics that we're talking about today have been discussed, from intimacy to, discussions on care partners and taking care of yourself. And all of these Ask the Experts are there for you forever. So you go to our playlist on Ask the Expert, and you can search them for finding people that have come on and talked about this. But if people have questions, please put them in the Q&A so that this awesome panel can discuss.
So Tanya, I liked you talked about that podcast can go anywhere. It can be in the United States. It can be anywhere across the planet.
Yeah.
So again, we're doing all these resources, from low-tech, beautiful pencils that make me laugh and smile, right, to notes on our refrigerator that help prepare for asking questions, finding, the gifts, and finding my power, to high tech, where I can get a podcast and listen to so many things, trying to break that isolation and increase connectivity that NA is really at the foundation of doing.
And we can't do it without you.
Melissa Richman, yes, BARD. I wish I could remember, what does BARD stand for?
You know what? I had to look it up too. BARD stands for Braille and Audio Reading Download National Library. They've expanded who can access that, and aphasia counts as a disability in their however they figure it out. And so that's another great resource for free books.
And they will send you a recorder. So there are different states programs, and there are, like in North Carolina, we have the North Carolina Library for the Blind and Other Disabilities. They use BARD as the as the place to get the tapes, but you can get newspapers and magazines. You can use digital, or you can use their cassettes. They send you the equipment free, and the best thing about this equipment is it's so easy to use. When my mother had aphasia and was using her recorder, when she just pushed the button, it would stop. And when she came back to it, she could just push it again versus having to rewind. It's a really excellent tool. And to Melissa's point, now, because aphasia qualifies, a speech pathologist can sign that. You do not need to have a medical doctor sign that application. So that's a great resource. We'll make sure that one, I just put a note to put it up on our website to get that information as well.
Yeah, and I believe every state has a program that supports that. So, and there was also, Laura was asking a question about talking about reading and audibly at the same time. So what we're sharing is, you might be looking at a print book and listening to an audio recording at the same time. So it might be you print, maybe you're listening to it on Audible. If you have technology, you might be able to use your tablet with either an Amazon app, the Kindle app, or other Audible apps where you can read and the words are highlighted. as you follow along, so you can hear the book being read to you as you're reading the words. So there's different ways you can combine the written text and the audio to support your reading and understanding of the stories. If you have a chance to find any aphasia book clubs across the nation, more than likely they're using a variety of tools so people can engage with the books. What else is there? What other questions are, oh, I got new messages, hold on. They're going to look at all the links and chats. So we've talked about Lingraphica also has TalkPath News, which is another one that's free and available to listen and read the story. I think you listen and can read at the same time. And they're long. They can be long. So always looking for free resources to help us out, and then finding quality materials. Tanya and Melissa, how would one start a podcast if they were interested? Asking for a friend, maybe?
Well, you would hope that you have some friends who are not in the speech pathology world who can help you.
Yeah.
What I can tell you I did is we use Audacity. That's the software, and it is free. And we use SoundCloud, which is the platform that we use to upload so that it goes to the world. But really with Zoom, and I'm guessing other platforms, you record, the editing takes much longer than the recording. And I really, when I'm editing, I don't edit out aphasia. Like we have a group of survivors with aphasia. We're not trying to sound like we don't, but it's still, editing is time consuming. And then you have to get it in the right, like MP3 or MP4 format. And there's another website for that. So honestly, the conversation is the easy and best part. And if someone wants to know the logistics of it, I am happy to share it. I can't tell you that I understand it all, but someone taught me how to do it and I can do it. And I will teach you how to do it. But you can't ask me why you have to do it that way, because I don't know. But I can tell you what to do to make it happen. And I will happily share that with anyone who wants to know.
It reminds me kind of what we've been talking about here as a group is, what's the topic? Like, so Anna and Ryan, you have these ideas of topics we need to give some written supports for, right? To practice. And then Tanya and Melissa, like, do you guys know the topic that you're going to speak about when you come together?
Not every podcast we do. Sometimes we have special guests, or we think we have a topic we're gonna discuss about maybe dating, but sometimes you don't have any topic and it's an easy conversation, and we find a topic as we're discussing.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds good. It's like, in a way, it's sort of like a conversation group that comes together and then you share worldwide and I say the team has the right to say, nope, we're not publishing this one. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What about Michelle or Anna and Ryan? Have any topics come up for you or questions in terms of resources that you want to share that you didn't have a chance to discuss so far?
I know YouTube is also a great resource for things like, there's Aphasia Phil, our friend. He does a great job of,
Yeah.
he does podcasts as well. So there's a lot of people like him out there that I would encourage, to get on YouTube or any of the social media like groups. That's been really helpful for us. Just to have those connections have just been so valuable and meaningful for us.
Yeah, I think we think about aphasia, and I don't know. We know, like social media, the algorithms start funneling all things about one or two things that you've liked. So I think everybody in the world knows about aphasia because that's all that shows up on my feeds. But when you step back, you're like, no, they don't. So
Yeah.
YouTube, podcasts, conversations, universities, aphasia centers, individual clinicians, family members, like all these people. I think we're getting the word out slow and steady. But again, I kind of have blinders on. So how somebody who's joining us who's just learning about aphasia, I think we've provided a lot of resources that they could utilize.
This is great.
Michelle, is there something that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I have another group I go to called Stroke Awareness Oregon, and they have made a comic book to kind of like use with kids to explain it. So it's kind of that, of course, came out way after I had a stroke, but it would be helpful now if I was new at the stroke and had kids. I would suggest that.
Yeah. I think you guys are also sharing great resources as parents who are trying to educate their children, but we're also educating other professionals. We're educating our friends and family who don't understand, something that you're living deeply every day, all day. But I know, so I know that Melissa's provided her email if anybody wants to kind of talk how to start your own podcast.
Melissa, I'm going to update that. You had put it in host and panels instead of to everyone.
Oh, I didn't know that there was a different one. Sorry.
Yeah, if you just change the who it goes to. So I did want to mention too that I know our friend Aphasia Phil has recently done a how to make your own YouTube channel. He wants to do how to make your podcast. He is a front thinker on all of that. So he would be a great person to contact as well for starting those. And then if there's anything that the NAA can do to help people with a dream of starting something like that, we are happy to help that. Our goal certainly is to fill up that aphasia desert that we were talking about before. If you look at our provider map, there's a lot of places that just don't have the services listed. We're not sure if the services are there, but boy, we would like to populate that so that people can find these easier. So if you have a question, if you can put it in the Q&A, we have a couple minutes to be able to answer that question. We may be able to get to our music a little bit early, but this is a wealth of knowledge you have here available to you, both experience and actual work with people. So there's some meditation things being put up here. We didn't talk about meditation. Would have been a good one since we had this yoga class earlier that was so relaxing. But we do have a group that meets about meditation once a week, and there's some other programs across the country as well doing that kind of work. Anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask, or if you as a panel get often asked the same type of questions, please share us with us now.
Any questions that you guys get asked frequently?
And we can start our wrap up. Tami, any closing thoughts on your end if there's no additional questions?
Yeah, I just want to thank each of you. It was great. I had a chance to speak to each of you personally and just learning about your own path and the things that you needed to create because they didn't exist. And I think that's a super powerful human experience. As I said earlier, we all know that aphasia is chronic. So, and each person's always evolving. So your needs in the first 6 months are very different than your needs at 12 months and so on, and at 10 years. And you're all still advocating, educating. I learned a lot from each of you, and I really appreciate having this opportunity.
Well, we're getting wonderful comments from everybody too
Yes.
on this panel. And, you know, on behalf of the NAA, we really appreciate each of you sharing your story and getting the little party person from Kitty. Thanks, Kitty. Yeah, there's a lot of information. So I do want to tell everybody that this information, the resources that this panel shared, everything that has gone in the chat will be reviewed and organized and released to you. So you do not have to worry. Oh, good. I'm glad you're overwhelmed in a good way.
Yes.
Thank you.
We don't want you to keep it all in your head, and we don't want you to be writing and not paying attention to these amazing people. So don't worry, we're going to collect all of these. We're going to put links and resources together with them, and we'll make sure that you have those in a separate newsletter that's just chock full of information. And again, if you are not signed up for the newsletter, which means you did not get information about what's going on, please, 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 we take a lot of time and effort to put those newsletters together with the content and the information that we have. I'm going to hand it over to
Well,
Sherry.
one second. Michelle had her hand up to say something.
Oh, sorry, Michelle. I'm sorry.
Okay, my aphasia kicked in. I think I said strength awareness Oregon. It's actually stroke awareness Oregon.
Stroke
Sorry.
awareness Oregon.
Oregon. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we'll make sure we're having this recorded, so we'll make sure all that information is available to you. So thank you,
everybody.
Thank you, Tami, and thank you to all of you for sharing. And it really meant a lot to us, and we appreciate it. We'll see y'all next year in real person.
Real people and real
everybody.
person.
Yeah.
Thank you all so very much for joining us.